And this is just like, I can't get this image out of my mind. He tucked them into bed before lighting the house on fire.
That's that personal shit, you know? That real personal, like, intimate, like, yeah, it's obviously his mom. So he's like, I'm gonna fucking murder you, but also I, like, love you and respect you because you're my mama. So I'm gonna, just tuck you in. Night-night.
That is so fucked up. It's fucked up. So fucked up. It is just so damn fucked up. That's fucked up.
Okay. Is everybody ready? Okay. In 5, 4, 3. I know you don't do the last two on film. So I was just being super professional right there. Okay, welcome to the podcast. This is That's So Fucked Up. We are your hosts. I'm Ashley Richards.
And I'm Cameron Dexter.
And this is a podcast about cults, murder, and other fucked up stuff. And we mean it, you guys. Like, really, really fucked up stuff. Today's a pretty intense episode. I'd say it's like almost up there with Anthill Kids. So if you listen to that one and it was too much for you, you might want to skip this one. I want to emphasize that for today's episode. If you guys are new to the show, I realized that, I don't know, there might be something wrong with me because I just pick the gnarliest shit that I can find every time.
Go big or go home, right?
Yeah, it's just that like morbid fascination, I guess, you know?
Yeah, it's like you got to tell the stories that stick with you, right?
Yeah, I think that's it. It's like I get not like excited in like a way that's like, oh, this is cool that it happened, but just like I think it's more that like my adrenaline gets flowing because I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I think that's why I'm like drawn to the super crazy stuff. Yeah, so today we are telling you about a couple murders. So please head over to TSFU, the podcast.com. Go to the bingo tab and you can go to Murder Bingo. If there's any listeners out there who are app developers, just saying, we'd be super excited to have a bingo app. How cool would that be?
A bingo app would be the tits.
So the tits. So if you're a app maker, hit us up, please. Also, like if the tiles moved around, you know, so it was like people had different bingos. Like, that would be really cool.
I love it.
Yeah. So if you can make that happen, contact us. You know, we have a little bit of money.
we can work something out.
We have, hit us up. Yeah. So before we get into the show, just want to remind you guys, if you could leave us 5 stars, that would be amazing. It's just a quick click and it really helps us. If you want to leave a review, that's even better. We'll tell you about the free shit that you could win at the end of the show.
So cool. Who doesn't like free stuff?
I love free stuff.
Right? And you guys, if you also want to email us some crazy stories you have, maybe you know of some murders, maybe you have like a personal experience that's just totally fucked up. We want to do a listener-sode about it. So give us an email at tsfuthe.podcast@gmail.com. And yeah, we've already done a couple of the listener-sodes. So send them in, guys.
Yeah, you know, do your parents run a cult? Actually, I say that because made a new friend on TikTok. Her name is Amanda Householder. You guys go and follow her. Her parents run a boarding school that's basically a fucking like abusive cult called Circle of Hope. And her TikTok is all about exposing her parents' fucking abusive cult boarding school. So we're actually going to have her on as a guest at some point in the near future.
Oh, cool. Wait, where's the boarding school?
Let's take a quick look.
I went to boarding school.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah.
It's called Circle of Hope Girls Ranch. Some have been physically violent with their families. And okay, wait, this is their fucking boarding school. That's their website. Yeah, we're not going to read that bullshit.
Yeah.
I actually thought that sounded super fun when I was a kid to go to boarding school. How long did you go?
All 4 years.
Oh my God, you straight up didn't live with your parents all throughout high school?
No.
Where was your boarding school? This is crazy news to me.
Okay, so in my case, actually, the boarding school that I went to was really close to my hometown, so it wasn't like I wasn't far away.
What, so how often did you see your parents?
Super often. Yeah, I wasn't like my mom a lot, my dad sometimes. But it was cool.
Did your brother go to boarding school too?
Yeah, he went to the same boarding school I went to. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I mean,
did you wear uniforms?
No. So we were like we didn't do the uniform thing. We did do stuff like formal dinners. So on Thursday night, you got dressed up and like you went and had a formal dinner with the whole school.
Interesting.
And, you do like things like group meeting in the morning. So like we had like this thing called the Great Hall, and you all meet in the Great Hall, and like the president of the senior class leads any morning announcements. So you get used to doing things like being a boarder, like you're used to dorm life kind of before you go to college. So by the time I got to college, I was like, yeah, okay, I've been doing this since I was 15. It leads to less like, yeah, I'm out of the house. I was kind of like, yeah, I've been out of the house.
Is that the purpose? Kind of that? What? I don't get why.
Yeah, and just like so my school focused on a lot of outdoor education, like specifically we had a really strong ski team, so I got dismissed out of class every day at like 12:45 to go train ski racing, which is kind of crazy. So you choose it if you're like if you want like a different education, or like I did rock climbing and whitewater paddling and took classes like memoir writing. And
what the fuck? That sounds super cool, dude.
Well,
honestly.
You know what the funny part is that when we were there, it's like the grass is always greener. And one thing I will say is that it's really hard when you are a teenager making a lot of the mistakes that teenagers make, having to deal with an institution that's going to penalize you. Because like if you're in your house and you sneak out, your parents are like, hey, don't do that again. Mm-hmm. But at boarding school, they're like, hey, you're on first strike. And the next time you do that, you're going to get kicked out.
Yeah.
So like it's really kind of rigid, and like a lot of my friends got kicked out because that's when your teenage years are when you're making some people you're making mistakes,
bad decisions.
Yeah, like like it was,
I sure was. Oh yeah, I was like drunk every weekend when I was a teenager. I think my mom literally got me and my sister out of bed sometimes on weekends to like make us do shit just to fuck with us, because she knew that we had crawled through the dog door last night. Dude, and that dog door was so gross because, I really miss Indy. Love you, baby. Rest in peace. But she went through it all the time and we never cleaned it. So there was this thick residue of, I don't know, just dog, and you'd crawl through it, and I don't know why we didn't just give it a fucking wipe down, teenagers, but ugh.
You're willing to
it's pretty harsh though, sounds like.
Yeah, I mean it's not lenient. Like your parents are like, hey, don't do that again, but you're not gonna like lose your school and your place where you live most of the time. You know what I mean? Like your parents aren't going to kick you out, especially not for like a couple offenses. So there's pros and cons for sure.
Okay, I'm on this website right now called greatnonprofits.org. We'll put it in the fucking notes for today or on the source blog on our website. But one thing says here, making girls eat their puke, rape, abuse. Yeah, all that especially apparently is going on. Occult, beaten, malnourished, sexually assaulted. Whew, holy fuck.
They're currently operating?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I don't usually like to give away who our special guests are going to be, but I'm super excited about talking to this girl. I'm also really glad that we can give her another platform to talk about this on. These fucking abusive cults need to be exposed. They're just, all of them are ruining lives everywhere.
Yeah. Yep.
Can't believe Scientology is still a thing. Like, blows my mind.
Aye.
Watched the whole Leah Remini series and, like, binged it in, like, 2 days and was just like, what the fuck?
Did you see the HBO doc Going Clear?
No, I was kind of, like, Scientology'd out after that, but was that good?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Ugh.
Amazing. Crazy.
I canceled HBO. God damn it. Yeah, so I guess that's announcements and fucking chit-chat. So let's get to it. Why don't you go first this time? Because I went first last time.
Sure.
Do you have your murder bingo pulled up?
Oh, I've got it. It's up.
You're like always super ahead of the game. I like make the announcement and then halfway through the show, go pull it up. I'm really excited that we're doing these like 2-story episodes now. I like them way more. And I pretty much like just want to do these unless we do like Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh. That's not something that I want to take on by myself.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
But other than that, like, I'm fucking down for story time. So, okay, who are you telling me about?
Awesome. So, I like do like a slow intro and then I'm like, today.
You do. In cold blood me.
But I promise this killer is somebody who, from the first time I ever heard of him, I just had so many visuals in my mind. And we'll have our sources up on the blog. A couple of them that I got a lot of information for were Dark Poutine episodes 18 and 19 and the documentary Born to Kill, The Monster of Miramichi. Here we go, guys. Strap in.
Okay.
In a rural area of Canada's New Brunswick, there's a long, twisting river that's mouth stretches out, way out into the deep blue northern Atlantic Ocean. The river is known as the Miramichi River, and it lies next to the town of Miramichi, an area known for its friendly residents and natural beauty. And the word Miramichi actually comes from the Montagnais word meaning Mi'kmaq land. And the Mi'kmaq are a First Nations people indigenous to the area of Canada as well as northern Maine. And I just want to give a shout out to the indigenous because they were there first. So
fuck yeah.
Fuck the Europeans.
Seriously.
Anyway, so this is a really trusting town in Canada. It's got really amazing fishing. And by all accounts, up until the 70s, this was a very trusting and friendly community. But throughout the 70s and 80s, it was known for something far more sinister. A man named Allan-Legere stalked, prowled, and terrorized this remote Canadian countryside for more than a decade, and in his wake left as few as 5 dead, potentially more, we'll go into it. And these killings were brutal and often involved rape and arson. This is the story of serial killer Allan-Legere, a.k.a. the Nighttime Prowler, a.k.a. the Monster of the Miramichi.
I've never heard of him.
You haven't?
No. All right.
Yeah. So I want to put a face to this name because I think it's important for everybody to have a visual to this monster. And the picture I found shows a burly, very strong, shirtless man. He's got a long, unkempt beard, piercing eyes, and his hair is kind of in chaotic waves. And it reminded me of like almost like hair that's trying to escape deranged thoughts. It's like, get me out of here. I don't want to be on this head.
You know what? My guy, too, like, has a picture-worthy picture. Like, we'll put the pictures of these dudes on the blog. We don't always put pictures, but, like, these dudes need to be seen.
Let's do it. Absolutely. So, as always, we're going to talk about how these people grew up, because people's pasts are important and always indicative of how they turn out. So Allan-Legere grew up next to the Miramichi in a less lovely town of Chatham. He was born on Friday the 13th, literally.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know, for sure. In February of 1948. And his childhood was definitely anything but idyllic. His single mother, Louise, rented out rooms in their home to support the family. And I didn't ever come across the word like sex worker, but by all accounts, she was sleeping with many of the men who came through the rooms in the house. And Alan's father was actually a temporary resident of their home, and he quickly left after he got Louise pregnant. And as with many serial killers, it's interesting to explore the relationships with the parents. In this case, there's no father figure whatsoever, and his mother, according to Canadian journalist Rick McLean, who eventually did write a book on this case, said Alan's mother was not picky at all with her partners. This isn't a direct quote, but I just wanted to mention him. Was not picky at all with her partners and would frequently bring them into the home with little regard for her children. So it's easy to imagine that this really troubled the young Legere. I have a quote from Professor Louis Schlesinger. He's a forensic psychologist. And he said, adolescent boys need to see their mothers as asexual. And it's very, very difficult for an adolescent boy to see their mother having sex, even with their own father. But when an adolescent boy sees their mother in a very sexual way, it's enormously destabilizing in their psychosexual development.
Dude, I walked in on my parents once when I was a kid.
Or were you traumatized?
That shit scars you, bro. Yeah.
Scars you forever.
Yeah, let's move on, actually.
Well, right? And that's even when it's your own, that's even when it's your own parents. So the idea of seeing your mother with multiple different partners and, you know, the house was being described as like having really thin walls. So everybody...
Was he white?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So it's easy to imagine that this was pretty tough for the young Legere. And at the age of 9, things were going to get way worse for young Alan. He lost his older brother, Freddie, to a hit and run. Freddie died and they never figured out who hit him. And Freddie and Alan were really, really close. And Freddie was also his mother's favorite. And after this, Louise openly resented Alan and would tell him, I wish it was you. Like, the wrong son died. I wish you had died.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. Oh, and Alan, I think, is one of 4. So he has 2 sisters, just to put that into context.
Dude.
Yeah.
It's super weird when a parent picks like one child to abuse. Did y'all ever read that book, A Boy Called It, by Dave Pelzer?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I read that when I was like 12. What the fuck, you know? Obviously, I've had like a very morbid curiosity since I was really young. I mean, I read like horror books too. You know how they made like horror books for teens?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I read that shit too. Okay, yeah, sorry.
So, yeah, no, it's horrible. I can't imagine any parent saying anything like that to their child, especially when the brother, like Alan, is trying to figure out how to deal with the loss of his brother, who was basically like his best friend. You know, he's like kind of the only maybe stable figure in his life, and now he's gone.
Yeah, okay. Would you say his mother was domineering or just mean?
There wasn't a lot from the information that I got. I didn't have a lot of information on the characteristics, but I'm sure she was. I mean, any woman who says that kind of thing to their kid is...
Yeah, totally, is controlling and...
It's pretty messed up.
Okay, totally.
Okay, so yeah, things are not going well for poor Alan. He was made to share a bedroom with his sisters, and he would actually masturbate while watching them undress.
What the fuck? We both have fucked stories today. Very similar, actually, too. What the... Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And I'll get into this a little bit later, but like he's already showing some like really weird tendencies, and maybe he's developing strangely because there's like this sexual atmosphere of where he's growing up, you know? So like, I think that he's already in a extremely unhealthy household. I think it was like he had to share the room until he was about 12. So like if he hit puberty early as a young man, you know, he's in this room with his sisters. His mother is doing whatever she's doing just to pay the bills, which that's got to be really rough.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's developing right now, obviously, some of these tendencies that we see in serial killers later. So
bingo.
I know, pretty rough start. So this quickly turns into him peeping into the windows around the neighborhood. Man, I was just watching I'll Be Gone in the Night by Michelle McNamara. There's a series now out on Apple, and she basically helped solve the case of the Golden State Killer, and he started as a prowler.
I know.
All over California. So he had like a bunch of names and nobody had connected the dots. Valencia, Ransacker, and then the East Area Rapist. But he started out looking through people's windows. Like he did a lot of that.
Right. I actually got bored during that book. I'm not going to lie. I was listening to it on Audible and I returned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it just didn't hold my attention. But I do think it's amazing that she was basically just a fucking like armchair detective web sleuth and like really helped solve this case. It's like amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Legere out there. He's peeping around his area. Reports at this point are that he's a hothead and he was getting picked on. He didn't start out as this broad man that you'll see in the photo that we post. He started out kind of smaller, and he would get in fights and he was picked on. So he started to do some bodybuilding later. At about 16, he starts to do like petty crimes, theft, little things of that nature.
I'm so mad. So many of these should be on bingo. There's too many like super common serial killer characteristics. It's just like blowing my mind though that you're rattling these things off and I'm looking at bingo and I'm like, how are these things not on there?
Do we not have a petty crime? We've got to have petty crimes.
No, I know.
Okay.
We have childhood pyromania, but he'd started arson later, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't see any reports of him starting fires. I don't think.
That's what arson is, right? Fire?
Yeah.
So he did that later. Okay. Yeah. So, oh gosh, we have you guys, seriously, app developer, help us.
Fast forward through his troubled teens, not a good time. And I'm like glossing over this part, but I'm like, at some point, this asshole falls in love, has a couple kids, and leaves his family and goes back. He's bored, and he goes back to his life of petty crimes, and he ends up doing time, like some of his first kind of harder time in jail for a year for one of these crimes. I believe it was a robbery. He also becomes obsessed with religion, But here's where this contradiction comes into play. Like, he also openly hated the Catholic Church. Like, it was said he thought of himself as like some sort of god. I don't know. He had a huge ego, like a lot of the serial killers that we cover do. I also think, this was a Roman Catholic community, and we already know he's a serial killer, so I'm not spilling the beans, but like one of the murders is a priest. So I wonder if maybe, I think that he was probably like a high risk person for abuse, probably some sort of maybe sexual abuse.
Yeah, because that's not common in the Catholic Church at all.
Right. Well, and this was a very devout, like, or from what I could tell, a Roman Catholic community. And again, this is just speculation, but based on the severity of his last murder and like the things he did to this body, it just makes me think like, wow, this was kind of personal. And we'll go into that later. So just putting that carrot out there for later.
Dangle it.
I'm dangling it. At this point, the peeping like really ramps up, okay? And it was later assumed and thought that this was probably the only way that he could achieve sexual climax. He had trouble while he was being intimate with a woman. And so the roots of the sexual deviance that took place in his childhood really escalated so that he was doing these things and having these problems. And it's supposed that maybe that was the only way. So lots of problems. He also loved drugs and alcohol. So let's throw those two things onto this fire.
I am fucking like tick tock, check, check, check with the bingo.
Right.
Checkity, check, check.
He's got it all, baby. People were really afraid of him. And he was like, at the least, unpredictable and at the most, wildly violent. And he could fly off the handle at any given time. And he was really scary. He was strong, because he got bullied as a kid. He worked out all the time. And we'll show this picture with his shirt off. He's pretty buff.
So that's like scary. Somebody with like so much strength. Like, you don't have a chance. Sorry, quick. Did he have head trauma as a child?
No, not that I
don't remember you saying that. Okay.
Not that I remember. Nope. So at this point, he's escalating, and the peeping turns into him actually breaking into homes. And yeah, this is scary. He started breaking into homes. He even, like, friends of his would wake up and he'd just be staring and standing at the end of their bed watching them.
Whoa. Hi, you're not my friend anymore.
Yeah, and so this is the part of his basically career as a criminal where he got the title the Nighttime Prowler. And remember, he's from Chatham, which is like a small town next to Miramichi.
Okay.
Like, it's a pretty small community, so as he's like ramping up, people are starting to hear more and more stories about this guy.
So they like know he's breaking in and shit? They know it's him? People around?
Yeah, I guess some of the people do. Other people don't. He's starting to push the limits of like what he can get away with. Either like feeling women up or just breaking in just to prove that he can and standing there and watch people sleep.
Creepy.
And we know that a lot of these serial killers, they have like these rich fantasy lives. So he's probably fantasizing about the things that he's going to do. He doesn't have the urge or the need to carry it out. But, these fantasies must be building and building because eventually we know he's going to act on them. And yeah, he's a violent sex offender. So this is the beginning of it. March 1974, fast forward a little bit. This could actually be the first murder of Allan-Legere. This is an older woman. I think she was in her late 50s. Her name was Beatrice Redmond. She was stabbed 80 times. And this is going to be a consistent theme in Legere's murders. They're all older women. And like, okay. I don't know. I think like Freud would have a field day with this. It's like.
Totally. Domineering, abusive mother.
Over and over and over again. Every one of these women was, I think, over 50.
What's his name again? Legere?
Allan-Legere, Legere. And also a lot of things I read was like, well, he's going after people he saw as weak, which I think totally true. But more in my mind, it's like, this dude's killing his mother and raping his mother. He's so mad about his childhood. And he's a strong guy. Like, he's a strong dude. And so they couldn't pin this murder on Legere. They didn't have enough evidence, so he walks. And over the next 4 years, he gets remarried. How this guy gets married twice, I mean, I don't even know. It's just like...
Can you imagine finding out you're married to a serial killer? Oh my God.
I don't think this guy was trying to hide it. He was violent with everybody in his life, It's not like BTK, where the whole family was like, oh my God, what?
What? Yeah.
No, but like he had no idea. He was the picture perfect went to church. He's a dad. I heard an interview with his daughter who was like, I still remember the day I found out my dad was BTK. My whole world came crashing down. Like, this is not that guy. This guy he's a feral dude. He's like a scary, scary, scary man who like assaults a lot of people and is violent. So he's remarried. That poor lady. Yeah. I can't even imagine. And during this period, he actually becomes the manager of a bar named the Zodiac Club. And I just thought that was really eerie whenever I hear the word Zodiac.
Right. But do a lot of people know that he did kill somebody and walk? Like, they know that's a fact, that he just walked because of lack of evidence?
Right now, it's just like they didn't have enough evidence, so the rumors are flying. Okay, like, the rumor mill is in full swing. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like, but he's known. And his time at this bar, actually, he gets in a bunch of fights at the bar. He feels a bunch of ladies up in the bar. It's just like, it's all bad. He gets fired. They're like, get out of here. And then, fast forward a little more, 1979, Legere may have been involved with a man who was killed with an axe. This is known as the Miramichi axe murder thing. And again, they don't have enough evidence to convict him. But based on his next crime that we're about to talk about, I think that these are likely because we're seeing an escalation of somebody who's moving from, it's like a natural progression that we see in a lot of people. And this next crime is like a burglary, robbery that goes into rape and murder. So his next crime is like very complicated. And I just don't know if he would have had the chops to like pull it off, not having some experience in murder. I don't know. I'll let our listeners decide.
Well, he had already murdered one person, right?
Well, we don't know. No, we're not sure.
Okay.
He never got charged with the murder of Beatrice Redmond, and he didn't get charged with this dude who some people said he killed with an axe.
Oh, I just feel like when people walk because of lack of evidence, it's because they're guilty and there was a lack of evidence. But I also have been watching Dexter like a ton lately. Great fucking show. Jesus, it's like the third time I've watched it. It's just that good.
Love it.
I like know what's going to happen. I'm like, oh, he's the murderer. But it's just still so good. And if you're a Dexter, like, I support you. I salute you.
Yeah.
Clean up the streets, man. Okay. Anyway.
That's also my last name.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, I have to tell Cam that I've been like binging Dexter when I have the chance. You have like, that's so cool. That's like your last name, honestly.
Yeah. We could go into where that name came from. That's like a random name. My grandmother. Anyway, I won't even go into that.
No, tell me real quick. Make it a 30-second explanation. Go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so my grandmother was this kind of like wild lady. She flew airplanes with Amelia Earhart.
Amazing.
She wore pants when women weren't wearing pants. And she also had a kid with a dude who she didn't marry. And she didn't want to use his name. So she opened up the telephone book. And back then it was like divided into like, I don't know, like the blue pages and the other pages. But she just like basically opened up the phone book and like picked the name Russell Dexter. And that's... My grandfather is Russell Dexter Sr. and my dad is Russell Dexter, who married my mom. And that's why my name is Dexter.
That's amazing. Your grandma reminds me of Rose from Titanic.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks. That's awesome.
Honestly, dude, my great-grandma, Dee Dee, R.I.P., her name was Geneva Wilson. She was a fucking badass, too. She, like, was born in, I think, 1917 or something. Lived through like the goddamn Depression and everything. And then after the kids were old enough, she decided she didn't want to be a fucking housewife. She wanted to see the country. So she became a traveling saleswoman. Fucking traveled around that country because fuck you, I'm not sitting at home. So dope, dude.
Yes, that's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, cool. Like, go grandma. Both of us, grandmas. Go grandmas.
Grandmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. They're glad they did what they did with their time on Earth.
Oh, totally.
All right, fast forward, everybody. There's a couple murders in the past. We're not sure if he did them or not. And I'm going to bring you up to June 1986. And this is when it all really goes down. Allan is basically not able to get a job. He bounced around from a bunch of jobs prior. And now the small town is just like, we're not hiring this guy. So he finds these two dudes.
Good call.
To help him break into John and Mary Glendenning's home. And he's been casing the place for a while. They're shop owners. And he knew they had a safe in the house. So they've been targeted. He goes in. He cuts the phone lines. He ties up John with the phone cord and starts to beat him severely. They bring Mary upstairs to the safe. She's like, I'll give you whatever you want. Just let me open it. And as she's trying to open it, this is so disgusting. She's trying to open it, and she's I believe she's 61. Anyway, another older woman. As she's trying to open it, they beat her unconscious before she can successfully open the safe. So then she wakes back up. She continues. She opens it. They're still beating up John. And once they get the safe open, Alan sexually assaults her with the barrel of a gun.
Fuck! God. Why do we do this podcast? We're insane. Like, this is just what we focus our lives on?
I know. And did I mention they beat her so severely that her dentures had fallen out? Which just, like, makes, like, I just had to, like, it makes my stomach just like, this just goes to the character of the man, Alan, that we're dealing with. And this is why I do not think that this was this man's first murder.
Yeah, you don't just start there.
This is a horrendous, despicable crime. It doesn't get any worse than this.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. Yes, it does. Wait till you hear my fucking story. Jesus Christ. This is a heavy episode, y'all. God.
I know there is something wrong with us.
Yeah.
There is definitely something wrong with us.
So the dentures fell out. Okay.
Ugh, just sickening. Yeah. And at this point, John had been beaten to death. And Mason Johnson, who's a retired RCMP, and that's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, in the documentary Born to Kill, he says, if you could have seen her face and the beating she took, I've never seen a woman display so much courage.
Oh.
That just, like, gets me a little choked up. I just can't imagine. So she survives the assault.
Dude, whenever anybody gets, like, just say the word raped with, like, an object, I don't know why that, like, fucks with me more. Well, I think it's because, like, it's not built to go in there like a penis is. Not saying that, like, that kind of rape is better, but when I hear about, like, somebody like fucking Eileen Wuornos, how she got raped with, like, a pipe or something, like, that shit just woof.
I know. When I heard Eileen's story, I was like, yeah, I'd kill everybody.
Oh,
like,
fucking same.
I'm just like, yeah, I'd snap. I'd be out there. I would be probably, you know, I mean, nobody can say exactly what they do after enduring any sort of terrible situation like the ones we're talking about, but fuck it, man. I'll kill you.
For sure. We did an episode on Eileen, I think, with my last co-host. Like, I think it was like episode 4 or something. And we just like went through her life and basically like came to the same conclusion. Like, not that, okay, here's the thing. I end up sort of empathizing with the perpetrators of the crimes a lot of times. I mean, more so with the victims, but like a lot of people who do these crimes are really fucking mentally ill and have had really fucked up pasts. I'm not saying it excuses anything, but like a lot of people, I mean, some people do, but a lot of people don't have like this great fucking life and then just start like killing everybody and stuff. Although like I have much more compassion for Eileen than a lot of murderers because her life was legit so fucked. And I think that, here's what I think. I think that after you get somebody attempts to murder you after severely raping you, I think that if you keep doing that job, every John starts to have that face. If you ever feel even slightly threatened, that John's gonna fucking murder you, so you better kill him first. Like when you go through that fucking kind of trauma, let me tell you, that's gonna affect your behavior and your choices and your thoughts and feelings, you know?
Well, and like to go back to something you said, I think that's so important. That's why the work of the FBI profiler John Douglas was so important. He basically pioneered the criminal profiling section of the FBI. Mm-hmm. And back in the day, they just labeled everybody as crazy.
Yeah.
And he was the spirit, you know, he spearheaded, he was like, we have to look at why the people do the things we do to understand the next thing they're going to do.
Right.
If we don't look back at their history. So he went around and he started interviewing these serial offenders who were in prison. And the FBI was like, you're crazy. What are you going to get from asking these people about why they do the things they do? And now it's like the most important section.
Right.
Of like to profile somebody. That's used a lot in trying to find serial killers and other serial offenders today. Why do they do the things that they do? That's going to help dictate the next thing they could do.
Right. And there's indicators, obviously very obvious and fucking over and over and over ones that these things indicate that you're going to be like a killer. So it's like, obviously nature and nurture come into play. You're born with certain fucked up things. You get hit in the goddamn head, and then you get like raped by your priest over and over, like you go crazy. Also, we mentioned in our last episode, and we'll mention it again, we'll drop the links to RAINN, the Rape and Incest National Network. Sexual abuse is kind of a strong theme in both of the last episodes. And unfortunately, in a lot of episodes, because it's fucking rampant. I think like 6 or 7, 10 out of women get sexually assaulted and like sexually abused somehow in their life. Some crazy fucking Actually, Jameson, could you look that up real quick? I'm really curious now. But yeah, just want to say we'll drop that in the notes. Yeah, anyways, I totally get why Eileen killed everybody too. So back to the story.
Yep. All right, so let's take it back to Legere. After the assault, even though he had cut the phone line, there were actually 2 phone lines in the house. She was still alive, and she was able to call her daughter.
Did he know that she was still alive? Why did they leave her alive?
That
seems weird.
She's actually not the only woman that he left alive after severely beating and sexually assaulting them. The men he kills, like out of the couples.
So maybe he actually secretly has more hate for his dad for being absent.
Well, I think he just wants to torture and brutalize women. And it's almost like,
killing their partner and leaving them alive is one of the worst things you could do.
Yeah, I mean, they're barely alive. I'm not sure. It's hard to say, but we could assume that maybe he thought she was dead because she was in absolutely horrendous shape. Absolutely horrific. So the cops actually pick Legere up pretty quickly. Of course, he says he didn't do it, and they end up getting some hair and like matching a DNA sample. And he goes to trial for this. This is the first time he's gone to trial. The other times they didn't have enough evidence, blah, blah, blah. And he's like really quickly found guilty. No big deal. He's sentenced to life in prison. And Canada, if you look at their history, they don't actually tend to sentence folks to life in prison, like strictly. Like they're kind of like, oh, we believe people can be rehabilitated, but they're like, no, dude, you're going away for life. And this apparently really surprised him, even though he had just killed one person and brutalized another. So fast forward a couple years, what we do know is that between 1986 and 1989, Legere has begun to plan an escape.
Oh, fuck.
And as far as escapes go down, this escape is one that can, like, it's going to go down in history, man. This escape is absolutely insane.
Sorry, real quick. It's really fucking weird how many parallels our story has.
Really?
I also have an escape.
Nice.
What the fuck?
I can't wait to hear it.
Insane. Jesus. Okay.
Because I haven't heard of your case either.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So in 1989, Legere is serving a life sentence, and he is actually a model prisoner. He had this perfect behavior. The guards really like him, and they trust him, and this is all part of this master plan that he's concocted. So he starts to do something that I cannot even hardly talk about. He's begun to drive pins into his ear canal and funnel his own urine into the ear to cause ear infections. And he does this multiple times so that eventually he has to start being transferred to a specialist that's out of the prison complex, because that's your best chance to escape. So he's already been transferred he's at the Atlantic Institution in Canada, and they have to transfer him out of the prison to go see a specialist. And he's already like cased the specialist's place a few times, like slowly over time, So, and the guards trust him. And so finally he's got all his ducks in a row. He knows where he's headed. He knows where they're going to bring him. So he does this again. He drives pins in his ears, pours urine into his ear to cause a terrible ear infection. I know, really, really just, I can't even. So on the morning that he knows he's going to go, he wears his slippers. This is like all part of a plan. So he wears his slippers, and they take him out of his cell, and they check him and search him before they take him out of his cell. But after they bring him out of the cell, he goes, oh, hold up, guards. I got to go back. I just realized I'm still wearing my slippers. And they, because they trust him and he's been on such good behavior, don't follow him back to his cell. And they're like, okay, man, go do your thing. So what they don't know is that when he goes back, he inserts a snapped off TV antenna into his rectum and grabs a cigar, which the cigar has a like makeshift handcuff key. Like he's figured out how to make some sort of key that unlocks your handcuffs, and he shoves it into the cigar. And for whatever reason, they don't question the cigar, and they don't do a metal detector as he's leaving the prison. They search him, but they don't find the TV antenna or this type of key. I'm not sure what that looks like, but he's in his cigar. So the officers are getting Legere to the hospital. Again, when he gets there, he says he needs to go to the bathroom. Maybe they should have followed him. You would think this is the second time he's gone to the bathroom in kind of a short period of time. They don't follow him to the bathroom. They let him go unattended. Again, though, think of a convicted murderer. He's shackled, his hands and his feet. He's got the whole 9 yards going on.
Mm-hmm.
And while he's in the bathroom, what does he have?
The scar in his butt.
Cigar with a key. No, he's got the cigar with the key in it, and he's got the TV antenna in his butt.
Oh, where's the cigar?
Apparently he didn't have to hide that. Like, he was allowed certain things because he's like a model. They really, he could turn on the charm. So this is like your classic kind of sociopath or psychopath. He can be who he needs to be when he needs to be, and that's the scariest type of person.
Oh yeah, gosh.
Plus violent and really a sicko. So he's in the bathroom, right? And this is when it all goes down. Time to get that TV antenna out of our butt.
Oh.
And he unlocks his key. I have no idea what kind of handcuff key could fit in a cigar. I'd love to see a photo if anybody knows.
I think they're small.
I think he made it, though. Yeah, it's got to be something. It's got to be a material maybe he had access to in prison that he, figured out how to.
Oh, he didn't, actually get a real.
No, I bet he replicated it. I'm sure that.
Okay. Yeah, I guess it would be hard to get a real key.
He figured it out. It works. He gets his shackles off, so the hands and feet are now free. And he's got a weapon. He's got a TV antenna.
That would hurt to put in your butt.
Oh, it's just I don't even know. But it's he's also been driving pins into his ears for a year over and over again.
Yeah, he don't give a fuck.
Right, exactly. So, he does this he's like, hey man, can I get some toilet paper? And then I guess when they go to get him some toilet paper, that's the divergence. So then he runs out the door, waving, flailing his poop antenna, and gets out the door. And remember, he's a big guy, and the guards are completely shocked. They are absolutely not expecting this whatsoever. He successfully makes it out into the parking lot where he hijacks a car. He pushes a lady over into the passenger seat and starts to drive. And in my mind, when I heard this, I'm like, oh no, is it going to hurt this lady?
Yeah.
But he stops the car, and it's not the best thing in the world, but he just violently throws her out of the other side.
Well, I mean, that's pretty chill, I guess. Of the most chill things he could do.
I mean, compared to what it could be, I'd be push me out any day of the week.
For sure.
Get me out of this car.
Yeah.
She doesn't even know how bad this could go, how far sideways he can reach. So police are obviously just absolutely beside themselves. They can't even believe what's happened. All day and night they search. He's in a vehicle. He's gone, man. This is something he's good at. This is a guy who's done robberies, petty thefts. He's on the run, and he will not be captured for another 6 months. And this is when a lot more stuff, a lot more shit goes down.
Oh, fuck.
So everybody hears that he's escaped. The town is absolutely terrified.
And this is a small town.
It's a small community. Yeah. I mean, I think it's rural, it's small, so everybody's talking, and it doesn't take long for people to know that he's back out, and he goes basically right back to his old ways.
You'd think he'd be in hiding.
Yeah, or that he would flee to another area of New Brunswick. He keeps coming back to this area, and I don't know if it's he doesn't know where else to go, or he just can't help himself, but he doesn't try and go too far. He stays in Miramichi.
Maybe it's a ritual thing. You know how serial killers, they like shit a certain way. Maybe he likes older women from New Brunswick. That's his jam.
That's his thing. And I wonder why. It's not hard to guess. Give you one hint.
Mama.
It's his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here goes. He's about to really cause some terrible, terrible damage. He finds another shop owner, Annie Flam. She lives with her sister-in-law, Nina. And I believe this is late at night, 11:15 p.m., a witness sees a man in an alleyway, and they don't think anything of it, but he's kind of like looking up at this house. Cut to 3:30 a.m., another neighbor is driving by Annie Flam and Nina's house, and the house is completely up in flames. The police will find Nina crawling on the ground, claiming that she has been sexually assaulted. And she has barely survived this brutal attack. And unfortunately, Annie's body is found upstairs in smoldering ashes, and she has been severely beaten, sexually assaulted, and killed. And Nina narrowly escaped this attack. We've already described the type of attacks that he does, so we don't need to get into it. But so here's another 2 women of the same age group, late 50s, who are brutalized. And Allan is not done. Fast forward a couple months to October, to a home, the home of Donna and Linda Downey. Linda is actually on her way home on this evening. I believe it was the 13th of October. She's on her way home from a coffee date, and she is knocked out in her driveway. Legere leaves Linda outside in the driveway, goes inside, attacked Donna. Again, she's brutally beaten, sexually assaulted, and he strangles her to death right there.
Cool guy.
Right. We love this guy. Amazing. It's just disgusting. He goes outside. He picks Linda up. She's still knocked out. She's in the driveway. And he brings her upstairs, beats her unconscious, sexually assaults her.
But doesn't kill her.
Oh, no, she died.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, nobody would survive this attack. And this is just I can't get this image out of my mind. He tucked them into bed before lighting the house on fire.
That's that personal shit, that real personal, intimate, yeah, it's obviously his mom. So he's like, I'm going to fucking murder you, but also I love you and respect you because you're my mama. So I'm going to, just tuck you in. Night, night.
I can't wrap my head around it. It's just the scariest thing I've ever heard. I'm just tucking you in. And I guess it's hard to know whether or not I don't know if Linda died from the beating or if she got tucked in and then he burned the house down. So that's another attack. And one more, guys. Legere isn't done. And this is that final murder that I talked about earlier in the episode. Father James Smith is going to be his final victim. Father Smith was a local Roman Catholic priest, well known in the community, well liked by all accounts. So, there's no accounts that this guy was a creep or that he had anything in his past to indicate that Allan had a personal vendetta against him. He lives in the rectory next to the church, and it's thought that maybe Legere thought there was some sort of safe in the rectory, but he breaks in. Smith goes to investigate. Legere demands that Smith bring him to the safe, and Smith says, sorry, there's no money. There's no money here. And this just makes Legere go pretty crazy. He dragged Smith into the study, slashed his throat, and slashed his body severely, and finally strangled him to death so violently that he ended up asphyxiating on his own vomit.
Ugh.
He would then, after he was dead, they know this from the autopsy, after he died, he then jumped up and down on Father Smith's torso so severely and so many times that he separated the ribs from the sternum.
Oh.
So he cracked.
Ow.
It's just it just makes your skin crawl. And that's why I said this attack felt a little bit personal.
A little?
But it's hard to know with this guy.
All of the attacks actually feel super personal. That up close, beating somebody is a very intimate, face to face, fuck you on a personal level.
Right. And then to go a step farther after this priest is deceased, to take the time to
mutilate.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-boggling. This guy is a real piece of work. I think I'm maybe my next cult will be something, or my next murder will be
slightly more chill.
Slightly more, yeah, a more chill, less egregious. Anyway, so here we go. They've almost got Allan. We've almost got you asshole. He flees. This is the weird part too. He boards a train. RCMP officers get a tip. And they actually know that he has a tattoo on his arm, but they check the wrong arm. So they clear him.
Oh my God.
And yeah, this is again that journalist Rick McLean who covered this case a lot. He said he had a supernatural calm about him, and he could just like employ this sort of other world. Like he was just like apparently in this or in this interaction, completely calm, pulled up the t-shirt sleeve of the wrong arm. He didn't have the tattoo that they were looking for. They didn't think to check his other arm. I have no idea why. So yeah, he successfully escapes. And then this is the part that's funny. He comes back to
oh my Jesus
Miramichi.
Christ. What the fuck?
Well, why go back? Right? I don't know. And I found this quote I thought that was really interesting. So while they're trying to chase him, they're getting tips. And RCMP Sergeant Bob Bruce said it was like we were chasing a ghost. And I thought that was really kind of chilling because they couldn't find this guy and they were doing the best that they could. Anyway, from what I gather, he basically turns himself in. Like he goes to at this point, he's done. He's sick of running. He goes to a pub. He gets drunk. He writes a 20-page letter detailing his innocence, and he's taken into custody. Boom! Where he's currently serving out a life sentence in the Edmonton institution. And, fun fact, I think this was awesome. This is the first case that Canada used DNA to convict somebody as opposed to using DNA to exonerate someone. So, fuck you, Alan.
Fuck you, Alan. Very nice. Yeah, wow. That guy was, I don't even know. What the fuck? It's so weird to me, too, like, how many parallels we have in our story. Like,
yeah.
On the one hand, they're super different. And on the other hand, there's, like, a lot of similarities. Okay, so I am going to tell you about the Alexander family murders. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't. Talk to me.
It's insane. It's like not a well-known story at all. Thank you, people of Reddit, because I went to Reddit and I was like, can somebody let me know if this case is real or not? Because there's so little information about it. And then somebody gave me a link to an article in the La Vanguardia, a Spanish newspaper, and I got most of my information from that. It was an article by Monica G. Alvarez, and I made sure that this was a reputable newspaper because, like I said, there's so little information on this case, which fucking blows my mind because it's one of the craziest, murders I've ever heard. So here we go. 1931, Herald Alexander is born. He's the patriarch of the family. He gets really into this thing called the Lorber Society. It was started by Jacob Lorber, an Austrian Christian mystic and visionary.
Ooh.
He said that Jesus spoke to him.
Mysticism.
You know, the huge. Said that Jesus spoke to him, obviously. So he transcribed that into like a bunch of books. And then apparently after he died, like Jesus started speaking to like a bunch of his people.
Of course he did.
The message was just like, you know, getting spread through like a ton of people. And Herald actually believed that he was one of the chosen one. So Herald marries Dagmar, who is 2 years younger than him at some point. And in 1952, Marina, the eldest daughter, is born. And 2 years later, Frank is born. And we will get into Frank. And in 1955, a year later, twins Sabine and Petra are born. So they all live in Hamburg, Germany. And it's kind of unclear when Herald declared that Frank was the prophet.
Oh, he declared his son.
Frank's the prophet, the son.
Got it.
I saw in one article that he declared him the prophet when their incestuous relationship began. I'm not sure exactly when that was.
So the father and the son.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So I'm not sure if Herald declared Frank the prophet like as soon as he was born or once he like started diddling him. So Frank like totally rules the house. His demands and wishes were his divine right. So everyone like listens to him and respects him. You know, he's like a teenager and whatever the fuck he says goes. And he doesn't sleep with girls his age because he thinks they're dirty. So he has sex with his mom and his sisters. And they're subservient to this because they believe that they're like serving God, you know? So apparently, like the incestuous ways of the family begins to get noticed. So the Hamburg police begin an investigation. And apparently Dagmar got like a small inheritance. So they got some land or a house in the Spanish Canary Islands. So it was the late 60s or 1970. And so the family flees to Santa Cruz, which is the capital of Tenerife, like I said, in the Spanish Canary Islands. So when they get there, the family basically kind of keeps to themselves, but apparently like organ music could just be heard playing like all day and night.
Lovely.
Totally. So it's 1970 and Sabine and Petra are working as maids for a Dr. Walter Trankler. And Frank is working in some sort of like delivery services. And on December 16th, 1970, the hour of killing came upon them. So apparently on this day, Frank believes that his mom, Dagmar, looked at him in a suggestive manner. So he declared that the hour of killing was upon them, and he hit his mom over the head with a wooden coat hanger several times until she was unconscious. And then he did the same to sisters Petra and Marina. And apparently the women knew that the hour of killing could be at any time. Like, the beliefs of the family were that, you know, if he killed them, like, it was because God said so, and they're, like, doing what, you know, what they do when they say that, like, you kill people because that's what God said to do. They're doing that whole thing.
Right. Well, he's the prophet, so if he says it, then it's
exactly totally
must be true. Yeah.
And he says the lust of the women had to be punished. So yeah. So as he beat all the women unconscious and began to mutilate them, Herald played the organ and read psalms.
Oh boy.
First, Frank mutilated Dagmar's quote-unquote offensive parts. Then he cut off her nipples and tore out her heart and tied it to a rope and hung it on the wall.
Trophies. Isn't that kind of like a trophy thing? Or he doesn't keep them?
I suppose. Yeah, you could say trophy. I'm not playing bingo. I haven't been paying attention, but they mutilated all three of them and cut off their breasts and genitals. You know, probably because they're just dirty fucking women, as we are. And yeah, nailed those to the wall and various remains in different rooms as well. Apparently, just the house was like covered in blood, top to bottom.
Did the nailing of the organs to the wall have any significance to them? Like, did they have a rhetoric or some sort of, you know?
I couldn't find much about like what their beliefs were. Even like the Lorber Society, I tried to look into it, and it's like, it's not like, nobody's calling it a cult on the internet. So I think, as a lot of psychos do, he took some shit from it and like ran with it hardcore, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think he was super mentally ill as well, though. And I don't know if there was any significance, but I'm sure there was, because they were super convinced that like everything they had done like was for a purpose, had meaning, had been told by them to do by God. So yeah, I'm guessing it all kind of had some significance, you know?
Right.
As fucked as it was, I don't think it was for the purpose of just like murder.
It was like a symbolic offering, sacrifice, which is, I guess, what it was.
Yes. Yeah? I just read about like some fucking Christian cult just sacrificed like 4 kids and a lady or something. And one of the sacrificers was like their uncle or grandfather or something. And I was reading this like expert guy said that, you know, killing like a family member could be seen as like the highest level of devotion, you know?
Oh.
Not that that actually makes sense, but like that kind of sacrifice shows just like how fucking devoted you are.
Well, and it is it's the ultimate sacrifice, right? So it's even harder to sacrifice a family member, I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think it's like the ultimate So apparently they show up at Dr. Trankler's house where Sabine is working. And Harold tells her, Frank and I have just finished killing your mother and your sisters. Who knows exactly how this conversation went down, but apparently like something like this. And she said like, I understand you did what was necessary. So it seems that they all very much believed that like this was chill and for a reason. And then he said to the doctor, my wife and my other daughters, we have killed them. It was the hour of killing. Just like, obviously, apparently they were very like, you guys are so dumb. Why don't you get this?
And is anyone else in their brains echoing, what is it? Echo in the Bunny Man? The Killing Time. That 80s song,
They played
from
in Donnie Darko, right?
Man.
Yeah.
Amazing tune.
Oh.
It's isn't it Echo in the Bunny Man?
Time. I don't know, but yeah, that's a
great song.
Yeah, too bad for copyright.
I know that's going through my mind right now.
For sure. That's a great fucking soundtrack, actually. You know what? Like, I think I just need to watch that movie. It's my sister's favorite, so I'm gonna ask her, hey, let's watch that shit. So anyways, they were like, yeah, super normal. They were like covered in blood. So Dr. Trankler calls the cops and they show up and Harold explains that the prophet had said the hour of the great killing was at hand. So it's unclear whether or not they did go to trial, because I read one article that says they were unfit to stand trial. And then I saw another one that said the prosecutor wanted to give Harold, the dad, life in prison or the death penalty, can't remember, and he wanted to give Frank, the son, 20 years for each murder, or she, I don't know. But apparently the experts said that Harold had chronic delusional schizophrenia and that Frank had psychic contagion or an induced disorder. So they're just like, they're all contagious group think fucking insane, So they were both taken to the penitentiary psychiatric assistance center located in the Carabanchel prison. And in the early 90s, they both escaped. In 95, Interpol filed a search and arrest warrant, but they were never found. Some people think they went back to Germany and tried to find some of the Lorber Society folk. And they were never found. And no one knows what happened to Sabine, the sister.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Like, it's one of the craziest fucking stories I've ever heard, and it's just not known, and information is not easy to find. I had to, what up, Google, by the way? I went to a fucking La Vanguardia website and was like trying to Google translate it paragraph by paragraph, but then this option popped up that was like, do you want this article in English? It was super dope. I don't know if you guys know that Google does cool stuff like that, but it happened and I liked it. But yeah, like I said, I checked that this and another article that I used from the Western Star, a Canadian newspaper, I checked that they were reputable sources, and they are, and there's pictures, and I just don't think that this story would be made up and there'd be fucking pictures everywhere and stuff and like ran in reputable newspapers if it didn't happen. So it obviously fucking did happen. And why do people not know about this, dude? All I can think about is like Papa playing the fucking organ all through the night or whatever, while the girls are just like, all right, cool, I guess it's time to get killed. And then they just, did all that. Yeah, how the fuck don't people know about this? Well, now you guys know. You're welcome.
Wow. That is unbelievable. Absolutely insane. It's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets, I don't know, what happens in something in Germany. A messed up family in Germany. What's a messed up family in Germany?
I don't know, man. That story has everything. It has like a fucking cult leader, basically, the dad, or whatever, like he gleaned from the Lorber Society. It's got a fucking prophet. It's got an hour of killing. I mean, it's organs being played.
Wow.
A fucking escape from a fucking mental institution. What the fuck does this story not have?
Wow. Good one. That is insane.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
What are you doing today? Because I'm going to make a TikTok. Hey, guys, check out our TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
And I'm making a YouTube video that I'm going to put on our channel about, I don't know if I can say the brand name, so I'll just say what it's called. It's called an eyeball. And it's basically a foam ball with a pop filter that you can put over your microphone to basically dampen the room noise or, make yourself, I don't know, whatever, sound good. And so if you're a podcaster or you're trying to get into podcasting, check out that video. It'll be up in, either now or in the near future. And yeah, I'm going to walk you through how to make a $360 fucking microphone cover for $60. So that's fun.
That's amazing.
What are you doing?
I've got some other work to figure out on my end, planning a location scout and post some stuff on Reddit. I'm going to post some of these stories. Yeah, some stuff.
Ayo. Oh, you guys go check out our Reddit. Cameron is going to post a cool little thing about Maura Murray. But honestly, go listen to the episode. What are you doing? But Reddit articles are fun. So, I mean, that'll be there too.
We know Maura Murray Reddit community is on fuego. Big time.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you guys follow us on all the social medias at TSFU, the podcast. Really, though, we'd love you guys to go over to Facebook and join our private group. Find us on Facebook at That's So Fucked Up, the podcast. And then you can join our private group. I think it's called That's So Fucked Up, the Groupies. Or something like that. Yeah, we're trying to make it popping in there. We're posting cool stuff and just really trying to build a community. So also, we're going to start doing some watch parties and stuff so we can watch some true crime shit with you guys and chat about it while we do.
Yeah. And you guys, if you liked what you heard today, please leave us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. And you can also leave us a review if you'd like to be entered into a drawing to win free merch. And also send us your winning bingo cards for a chance to pick one of next month's episode topics.
Did either of us win bingo?
I didn't. I tried. I didn't win.
Dude, I can't even find my bingo card. I don't think I got it either, though. Hold on. Wait, who is my guy? Okay, no, hold on. Pillar trophies. Okay, we're doing both of them, okay?
Okay.
We're combining them to try to get it. So let's see. Trophies, remorse. Yep. Oh, bingo. Boom. Absent father with your homie.
Yep.
Early psychiatric problems, also with your homes. Free space. Childhood abuse. Also with your dude. Also with my people. And no remorse.
Amazing.
I mean, I could, if I fucking tried to keep going, maybe we could find another. But bingo, motherfuckers. Yeah, I think that's all we have to say to you guys. Oh, but also TSFU the podcast at gmail.com. That's where you can drop your listener sodes, winning bingo cards, and review screenshots. We want to give you guys mugs. We want to let you pick a fucking episode topic. Say what up, you guys. And happy Fucked Up Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye, guys.
Oh, that was my tummy saying it's dinner time. Bye.
Bum, 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 bum. That's fucked up. So fucked up. Can't you see? It's just really fucked. That's fucked up.